Okay, our today's first concept is steps to write and execute Python script on Windows. So basically, whenever if you want to write your Python script and to execute your Python script, we have to follow some steps. So initially we will follow them, but going forward automatically those steps will followed by you. See, first thing we have to get the requirement. So for which requirement you are going to develop your Python script. Let's say in my case, simply I want to display hello welcome to Python scripting message using Python script. That is my requirement. Then second thing, just select an editor to create a Python script. See, we have different types of editors. You can go with any one of the editor. Suppose if you have only command line access, then use VI or VIM editors. Let's say I have Windows command line access only. Just assume that. Then I have to use VIM editor. Then open the required Python script. You just take any name for your Python script and then write the code. So using VIM editor, I am taking script name as, let's say, new.py. And here .py is the extension to represent that is a Python script. But this .py is not mandatory. But it is a good practice to take the Python script file extension as .py. Then enter. It will open the command line editor. Then here you have to write your Python code. See, our requirement is just simply I have to display like hello welcome to Python scripting. So to display any message in Python we have print function. Actually we will see that. So simply I am writing hello welcome to Python scripting. Then save it. To save the content in your VI or VIM editors, simply press escape and then shift colon. W is for save and Q is for quit. Exclamatory is forcefully save and quit. That's it. So after that you have to execute your Python script. Anyway, as of now we are on command line. Then we have to execute our Python script like Python space script name. Be clear, whenever if you are following this syntax, I mean Python then space your script name, your Python must be added to system path or your user path variables. That's what we did, right? So before executing, just verify this where Python. If you get some output, then only you can execute your Python script in this way. That's it. So as of now, I use command line editor to write and execute your Python script. Suppose if you are using any GUI editors. So for some GUI editors, you are having an option to execute your Python script directly. See, suppose I am using default IDLE of Python. See, this is the default IDLE. Just on your search, Windows search, simply search for IDLE, then you will get it. Just click on that. First, it will open your Python terminal. So here we have an option called file. Just select a new file. So simply here write your code or script or program. Anything. Then after that just save it. So Control S or here you can save from file option, save option. Just save it anywhere. Suppose as of now, let me take. So already I will override that. So from Python IDLE, whatever the Python script you created, that directly you can execute from here itself. So for that, just go to run and then run module or simply use F5 shortcut. See that you are seeing the output. So this is your Python script and there is the output for that. And be clear, you can also execute the script which you created by using IDLE from command line also. See, suppose we stored that into downloads location. Let me open command from here. Now we are on downloads. So it is like a cat command. On Windows, Linux cat command is like type. So I am seeing the content of that script you can run from command line. So be clear, I created this script by using Python IDLE. So that script I can run directly from Python IDLE, or same script I can execute from command line also. And one more thing, see, suppose if where Python is not displaying the Python location, then if you know the location where you install your Python, so for that what you can do is you can take complete path and then you can run in this way also. Be clear, suppose if where Python is not working, but still if you want to execute your Python script from command line, just provide the complete path of your Python and then your script. Or else just go to the location where you have your Python. There are different ways. And from there also you can run your script. Sorry. Okay, now demo.py is not there in this location. So for this script we have to provide complete path. So let me, or else, yeah, this is downloads location. So there we have demo.py. That's it. Or always you can provide complete path of your Python and also your script. That is your wish. That's it. But I told that while practicing our Python scripts, I will use Visual Studio Code Editor. So simply from your search, open your Visual Studio Code Editor. See, just to practice with our course, somewhere I created scripts directory. You can also create somewhere any directory. So in my case, I created scripts. So this folder first I will open from Visual Studio Code Editor. So open folder, scripts. Just give a second, it will open that. So it's opened, scripts. Now inside that, I already created one more directory called day1. So if you want to create, let me delete it and then recreate it. So simply click on scripts, and then here we have two options, plus symbols, new file and new directory or folder. So let me click on this new folder, day1. Now I selected day1. So inside that I want to create a Python file. Then select that folder and then plus symbol. Or else one more way is just a file, new text file, and here select a language, Python. I want to create a Python file. So simply print hello, welcome to Python scripting, any message. Then save it, Control S or file save. So inside day1, just I am creating first.py. So now this script also you can go to command line, from there also you can execute it. I mean, already we are in this location, right? So here simply open your command prompt. First.py. So that script you can execute it. Or else in Visual Studio Code itself, we have an option to open a terminal. So for that, simply see here on top of this, I mean where we have menus like file, edit, selection, view, go, run, there are some three dots. Click on that, open the terminal, new terminal. See, automatically this terminal opens with the path. That path is from which script you are opening that, right? We are under scripts location. But anyway, our script is there in day one. So now from here I'm running our script. There is one more option. See here, you have play button here. So directly you can click on that. That's it. But I don't suggest to use this, because as an automation engineer for server side and DevOps, always it is a good practice to execute your scripts from terminal. So that's why always I try to use this terminal to execute my Python scripts. That's it. So these are the different ways to execute your Python scripts after writing it. See, we have one extra step for Linux, that is shebang line. We'll discuss about this concept while working with Linux. And do you have any doubts till now?
Uh, Hi, this is Sandeep. I just joined a few minutes ago.
Your voice is low, Sandeep.
Sorry. Is it okay right now?
Yeah, yes, little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I joined today, so I think
Okay,
everyone was busy, so I thought of giving a heads up.
okay, okay, Sandeep, no problem.
And I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So generally we say Python is a interpreter language, right? Is it a
Yes, yes,
complete
that
interpreter
is my next
language?
point.
Okay.
That is my
Sorry.
next point. We'll discuss. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. See, as of now, we have written a Python script and we executed it using Python software. But basically, we can also execute line by line code from Python terminal if you have multiple lines in your Python script. Of course, even one line also we can execute it. See, suppose let me write one more line just using print. As of now, don't worry about print. We'll learn about this. One more line. So now I'm going to rerun that or re-executing it. Yes, we are getting two lines of output. So what I'm saying is, whatever the lines or logic or code is there in your Python script or Python program, those lines you can execute independently line by line from top to bottom. Be clear on that. I'm saying that you can execute line by line of your Python script from top to bottom, because sometimes your second line logic may depends on first line. That's why I'm saying that point. You have to execute line by line from top to bottom, so that you can execute from Python terminal. See, suppose if you want to enter into Python terminal, you have different ways again. So one is on your command line. It could be your normal command prompt or even PowerShell also. You are entering into Python terminal, or else there is one more terminal. Directly you can click on this. It opens same thing. Now let me copy the first line and paste it. Yes, you are getting the output. Let me take second line. So this Python terminal is useful whenever if you want to see the output of line by line in the separately. Just you will utilize this concept. I mean Python terminal concept at very initial stage. I mean when you are at learning stage, or sometimes just to see some specific operation result. Okay. See, first of all, this is a Python script which is having two lines. But those two lines you are able to execute line by line on your Python terminal, because Python is an interpreter. So first of all, what is an interpreter? See, an interpreter is a program that directly executes the instructions in your code or script or program line by line without needing to compile it into machine code beforehand. See, suppose if you have C or C++ or Java background, then where after writing your code, you are going to compile it and then you are going to run it. But here we are not compiling the code, directly we are executing it. So if you directly execute your script, it could be any script, not only a Python, even Bash or Perl script. And if it executes, then the meaning for that it is going to execute line by line without compiling it. So that concept is applicable only for interpreter. So simply interpreter executes the code line by line without compiling. So Python also comes as interpreter concept. Okay. But here one point is there, that is you don't need to do that manually. Python interpreter translates the source code into an intermediate format called bytecode.pyc files. You no need to do it, only while executing automatically Python will do this bytecode. So this is the, see, in other languages we are going to create compile code first and then we are running it, right? I mean, not all other languages like C or Java, right? But in Python we are not translating actual or Python script into any other format, but Python itself will translate into some intermediate format called .pyc files. You don't need to worry about it. Python will take care. And that bytecode actually will be executed by using PVM, Python Virtual Machine. See, basically PVM is the one of the part of Python software. See, whenever if you install Python software, you are going to get Python interpreter, you're going to get some default modules, some documentation. Along with that, there is some PVM software. That's it. Okay. Then, see here we are learning Python scripting. Learning Python scripting involves Python scripting syntax, concepts, and applying on practical scenarios. So if you cover these three, then you are good at Python scripting. Now let me go with one by one. It takes some, at least I told that, minimum 40 hours. Anyway, first let me start with syntax of languages. See, forget about even programming or scripting languages. In general, even for our human languages, right? Syntax means following the rules or arranging the words and phrases in a specific order. See, simply we have to follow the grammatical rule of that particular language to pass or to provide the communication between two parties, right? See, suppose in English, if I say Python or learning V, you cannot understand what it means. But if I say we are learning Python, then yes, you can understand. Nothing but here to frame this sentence, we are following the English grammar rules. Same way, whenever if you are learning any language, I mean programming or scripting language, you have to follow the rules of that particular language to frame syntaxes or to write the code of that language. See, suppose here we are writing something. So to write this, I have to know some rule. I have to know some syntax of, let's say, particularly here print. Right? So simply syntax refers to the set of rules that define how to write and structure the code in a programming or scripting language. Then let me give the first rule or syntax of Python, that is indentation. So what is Python indentation? It's very, very important. Without knowing Python indentation concept, you cannot write even a single line of Python code. See, Python indentation refers to the spaces or tab used at the beginning of a line of code to define the structure of the code. And Python uses this indentation to indicate blocks or making the code more readable and structured. Let me show you that. See, first of all, indentation is nothing but a space or tab. So if you want to provide a space in any editor, you can use your space bar or else directly you can use tab. So my suggestion is don't prefer to use tab to provide a space of tab, but you can use, but this is not good in all editors. Suppose if I go and use VA editor, if you provide a tab, then you will get some errors while executing the Python script. But of course in Visual Studio Code editor it is okay. But anyway, suppose spa sorry, suppose while writing these two lines, at very first of each line I did not provide any space. But let's say I'm writing something, if true, hello, I am in if. Just execute it. Sorry, capital true. See, as of now it is working. Now what I do is, here I will remove the space. Be clear, at fifth line I am removing the space. See, you are getting an indentation error. So if you already know about conditional statements, it's okay, otherwise don't worry. See, basically if there is any conditional statement, for that we will write some block of code, at least with one line. Now in Python, to say that that line is under if, you have to provide some space or indentation. But you should not provide this indentation unnecessarily. Suppose here if you see first and second line, these are directly independent lines. They are not under any control statements. That's why here I am not providing any indentation. See, as of now it is working. If I give some indentation unnecessarily, let's say at very first line, while starting my first line I am giving some space, then see that indentation, unexpected indent, unnecessarily we have given a space. So unnecessarily we should not provide. Whenever it is required we have to provide the indentation. So that you will come to know while practicing, while writing. But as of now you have to remember that indentation is a space and we should not provide that unnecessarily. Always try to start your logic at very first space in each and every line, for now, for time being. See, in other languages, suppose if you go with C, or even if you go with, let's say, bash functions, there you are using curly braces to represent the block of code under a function. If there is a function in bash shell scripting, to represent the lines under the function as a block of code, we are using curly braces. But here we are not using that curly braces. Instead of curly braces, to represent a block of code under some, let's say, control statement or function or class, we are using indentation, space. That's it. So Python relies on indentation to understand which code belongs to which block. That's why indentation is very important. If you do not use proper indentation, then while executing the code you will get an indentation error. Any doubts regarding indentation? As of now, you just remember, like, you should not provide any unnecessary spaces while starting each and every line of logic. If required, then only we have to provide. If required, how to provide, we will see. Okay, any doubts? Fine. Now let me go with basic usage of print function. See, I am saying print and then that as function. If anything is ending with parenthesis, then remember that that is a function. So actually in Python 2 version, print is not a function, print is a statement. Nothing but you have to use print directly like print, not with parenthesis. But from Python 3 onwards, print is a function. You will come to know what is the function. And one more thing, if you already know like oops concept, in while creating a class, there also we'll define a function, but that we are calling as a method. But even though that is a method, basically it is a function. So anything ending with parenthesis is a function. You have to remember that. Then here, print is one of the function in our Python, and it is using to display some message, to display some text. Not only a message or text, to display even some variable values also. So print is a function and it takes any number of parameters and prints them out on one line of text with separator as space. Be clear, it prints on your console by default. Console nothing but your standard output. See, we executed Python scripts here, right? From terminal. So this is a console, terminal. So if you execute any line with the print, that displays the result on your console. That is important. Basically, it is called as outputting the result from your script. And here, whatever we are going to provide inside parenthesis of print, they are called parameters. Simply some value, but that is a parameter. See, this is the basic syntax of print function. So it simply displays an empty line. Let me show you that. So don't worry, as of now I have commented the lines. So now I have print function without any parameters. Be clear, parameters nothing but the values which you are going to provide inside parentheses. So empty as of now. And now in my code, otherwise if you are getting confusion, let me delete this. Now in my code I have only one line of logic, and I started that without giving any space at very first line. So if I execute this Python script, it is going to execute line by line by your Python interpreter. But anyway, as of now only one line, you will get the output for that. So that is empty. So whenever if you want to display some empty line at output side on console, you can use simply print without any parameters. And here, if you want to pass any one parameter, you can pass like this. Print in parenthesis value. Multiple parameters also you can pass just by separating them with comma. And also there is an optional value, that is separator equals to some separator. We will see that. And here I am saying that parameter or multiple parameters, you can separate them with comma. So what is this parameter? See, this parameter could be a string or message. So even that message is also an empty message. And going forward, we will also use parameters as variables, sometimes functions itself, right? Anyway, for time being, this parameter I am taking it as a string or message. So string or message is nothing but simply see, in this print we have written something inside quotations here and here. So now this is a message or a string. Now basically string is nothing but group of characters. And here, while taking your message or string inside parentheses or as a parameter for print function, for that message you can take either single quotation. See, for first print I am using single quotation with double quotes. Be clear, single quotation nothing but starting and ending one quotation. Or you can also take triple quotes. See, suppose I am taking, let's say, third output. Now for third output, as of now we have taken single quotation. Be clear, single quotation nothing but starting and ending with either single or double quotes. But instead of that, you can also take 3 times either single or double quotes like this. or let me take one more, three times triple quotes, three times double quotation, and then some message, and ending with those three double quotations. Simply these are called triple quotes, these are called single quotes. See that it's working. Now let me take one more script. So I am creating Python script. See, print, we said that we can pass multiple parameters to print function, and as of now all parameters I am going to take as messages or strings only. Let's say for this print I am passing first hello, this is one parameter. And now suppose, be clear, this is a message, that's why I am taking quotations. Now hi is, let's say I want to take as one more value or one more parameter for this print. So now this is first parameter, this is second parameter, that's why you have to separate them with comma. So in our case both parameters are strings or messages, that's why I'm keeping them inside quotations, and multiple parameters you have to separate them with comma. Suppose likewise you can write any number of times your parameters. Of course for this requirement directly you can write one message or one parameter. So you can also write directly like this, hello, hi, how are you. Be clear, in this message even comma is one of the character because comma is there inside double quotation. But here comma is not going to display at output side because this comma is useful to separate all parameters here. Now suppose I am running this. See the output from first and second print. From first, oh sorry, let me execute our second script. See from first, hello, comma, hi, how are you. But from second, all are separate parameters because they are separating with the comma, and each and every value we are writing inside double quotation. We are getting hello, hi, how are you. And by default all these parameters are separating with space while displaying on your output. That is very very important. See that there is a space between hello and hi and how, right? So that is the default nature of print function. Now instead of space, suppose I need something like, let's say separator equals to some star. Now see the result. Yes, not only a star, you can take any character. Let's say I'm going to take colon. Not only a single character, you can take even multiple characters also. Suppose I am taking, let's say, some hyphens. You can also take some string, I mean with alphabets. Let's say I'm taking Python. That's it. Now suppose in this separator place if I take /n. /n is the special character, lowercase n. So the meaning for that is separate all these parameters at output side with a new line, that nothing but hello will be displayed, let's say in first line, then hi will be displayed in the next line. So after that how, likewise. Now see, hello, hi, how are you, question mark, or in the different lines. So this is very useful one, /n. And of course to decorate output you will also use some required delimiters or separators here. So that is about basic usage of print function. Any doubts here regarding print function? Because we are going to use print function daily. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, let me
Yeah,
give.
one question.
Yeah, please.
So, like in Java, we put the things are in main function, right? Here, do we don't need to put the things in main function?
Yes, we can optionally. We'll see that while working with functions concept.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that is a good practice. But as of now, if I say, you will get confusion. See, we'll put like there is a small logic. With this logic, we will keep our, not only here, even here we'll write some main function. We'll write like this. Okay, but we'll see that. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah. See, suppose at very first line, for first print function, I missed parenthesis at the ending. To close this print function, I missed parenthesis here. Then if you run, see that your Python script is not going to execute. And it is saying that line number 1, there is a issue. That issue is, see that it is showing some cap symbol at this parenthesis. So this was never closed. So mostly it will give the suggestion and will give the exactly the line number where you have an issue. Now I rectified it and then I am running it. It's working. Now let's say, suppose I remove this parenthesis somewhere here. Now see the output. See that? Here you have an error, right? For this, you miss it to start with parenthesis, unmatched one. Unnecessarily, you closed it. So basically, whenever if you start parenthesis, then only you will close it. So without starting, you close it. That means that is unmatched one. So you have to write this. Now let me rerun. It's working. So as of now, whatever the parenthesis we miss to write, so during that case, you are getting some errors. Those are called syntax errors, right? You have to start and close with parenthesis. If you missed that, then you are not following the rule of print function. Nothing but syntax of print function. So that is one of the syntax for Python scripting. Now suppose at very first line, now I have given indentation. See that? Unnecessarily we have given indentation. Now let me give for second line some indentation. See that again unnecessarily you have given indentation. So that's it. Okay. Now let me go with comments of Python scripting. See, basically comments are lines of text within a script that are not executed by Python or your Python script or Python software or Python program or with an interpreter. Let's say you can write comments anywhere. Suppose at very first line I am writing something like this is my second script. See, basically you will get an error if you are not following the syntax. So here I have written something, but for that you are not getting any output and also you are not getting any error. That means this is a valid one. See, first of all, you are not getting any error means this is a valid line, first line. But of course, you are not getting any output for that because this is a comment. Nothing but comments won't execute by your Python. then why we need comments, right? See, basically comments are useful to explain the code. See, you're going to write some Python script, let's say to start some application, or let's say to get the information about EC2 instance from AWS cloud, and you have shared that code with some other team. So they has to understand what is the logic in that, so before executing it. So for that, if you have some proper comments, proper information about the logic which is there in your Python script, then they can easily understand, right? So that's why we will write some comments. So simply comments are helpful for understanding the purpose and functionality of the code. So be clear, comments won't execute by Python scripting. And we have two types of comments. They are single line comments and multiple line comments, or simply multi-line comments. So single line comments, we have to start with hash. So simply if any line starting with hash, then that won't execute by Python. Suppose what I want to do is, let's say I want to write who is the author for this script. So when we developed the script, right? So here we have three lines, but each line we have started with a hash. Nothing but these lines are single line commented lines. Now whenever if you have lines line by line in sequence, and if you want to comment all lines at a time, then instead of starting with each line with a hash, what you can do is you can start with triple quotes. It could be with single or double quotations, and then end with that. Sorry, we have one more line, right? That's it. Now this is like multi-line comment. Now if I execute that, see, we are not getting any error. Of course we are not getting any output from these lines also, because they are commenting lines, they won't execute. That's it. So you can use for multi lines with a hash for each and every line, or directly just to start and end with the triple quotes. Between that you can write any number of lines to comment about your script. That's it. So the best practice when developing the code or modifying the code with respect to comments is write meaningful comments to clarify the purpose of the code, and then write who is the author of the code, and suppose if you are doing some changes, then what is the change and when you are doing that change. So that is the best practice. That's it. It's not mandatory, but it is the best practice to write comments with this information. Is that okay with comments part?
Yeah, it's clear.
Fine. Now see, we are calling Python is platform independent, right? Because of that only actually we are preferring Python, so that we can execute same Python script on Windows and also on Linux. So that is the first and foremost important point from Python. So how we can test it? Your Python script is like a platform independent or not? Very simple. Just develop some Python script and then start executing that from Windows. Anyway, as of now, this is some simple Python script, of course, as of now. So it is working from my Windows. Now same script, suppose I want to execute from Linux. So what you can do is copy your Python script, go to your Linux. You can take any name, no need to take same name of your Windows. Suppose I am taking temp.py. Just paste it. The way how you executed a Python script on Windows, same concept, you just try on Linux. It's working. So without any change, it is working. But of course, while working with some other applications with Python, to work with on Windows and also to work with on other Unix like systems, you have to write some condition. But anyway, finally, Python is platform independent. So guys, here I want to tell one more thing, that is, see, in my case, I'm using Linux, right? This is, those who already attended for bash shell scripting, they already know this concept. So as of now, sorry, I'm using CentOS 9, but this is as a WSL Linux. So if you know WSL concept on Windows, then using that we can install any Linux system on Windows. So I am using that concept. Because of that, there is a one advantage, that is, see, from my Visual Studio Code editor, I am simply typing bash. See that it is entering into my Linux, and also when it enters into Linux, still it is locating the my Windows path, so that directly I can run my Windows scripts. I mean the scripts which I developed on Windows from Linux directly, but it is not in the real time. Just for our practice, this is the best choice. That's it. So if you want to test your Python script from Linux, you can test it here. Or if you want to test from Windows, just exit and here you can test it. So without manually copying your script to Linux, directly you can practice with Linux also if you follow WSL concept. That's it. And by default, you don't have CentOS on Microsoft Store. Here you don't have CentOS. We have some other Linux systems. So you can install other one also. It's need not to be a CentOS. You can also simply install Ubuntu because already Ubuntu is there. But still, if you guys want to install CentOS as WSL, then I will give the steps. You just try. And if you are facing any issues, then you just join the session 10 or 15 minutes before our regular session. Then there I will show you in case if you have any issues. Okay, fine. Now let me go with introduction to variables. See, in any programming or scripting, variables are very, very important. So basically, variables are used to store data. It could be a programming or scripting language. See, before entering into our programming or scripting languages, suppose if you go with your maths, if you write x equals to 2, and if you have, let's say, y equals to x square plus something, just I'm giving some example, then what is the y value? If you know x value, then you can find y value. So here, whenever if I write x equals to 2, the meaning for that is x value is 2, and wherever x is required, there I can utilize my x value. Same concept in programming or scripting also. So in our Python programming or scripting, we will define, let's say, x equals to 2. Nothing but x value is 2. But actually, somewhere in memory, value 2 will be stored, and that is we are accessing with x variable. Be clear, it's simply maths concept only. X equals to nothing but x is a variable and its value is 2. And whenever if I need value 2, I can access that with respect to x. That's it. So variable x is used to store a value 2 in our example. So simply variables are used to store data or a value into it. So if you want to declare or define variables in Python scripting, simply you have to take like this. Be clear. Suppose if you are good at the bash shell scripting, in bash shell scripting, while defining variables, on either side of equal symbol, we should not provide any spaces, but it is allowed in Python. I mean, let me show you this directly on terminal. Now let me enter into Python terminal. So don't worry about this. X equals to some 5 valid. X equals to space, sorry, X space equals to 5 valid. Any value, not only 5. Just I am taking same example. See, all these 4 syntaxes to defining a variable is valid. Nothing but on either side of your equal symbol, you may or you may not provide the space. That's not a problem. Right? See, suppose if I take x equals to space 5, this is on line X. See, you are getting an error. But that is not in the case of Python scripting. And as of now, here we have defined directly a value for x. But not only direct value, sometimes in your variable, you can store some Python operation result, except to print function. Print function result, if you store into variable, then it won't store, because the basic functionality of print function is to display the output on your terminal or on your console. You just remember this. Don't try to store the print function result into any variable. Okay. And here, no need to declare variable before using it. That means, see, suppose if you go with your C, before taking a variable x with integer value as 5, then you have to take first integer x and then x equals to 5. So here, this you don't need to tell to Python whenever if you are using x in your program or script. That's why no need to declare variable before using it. So because of this, Python is called dynamically typed language. The type of your variable will be automatically dynamically identified by Python while executing your code. Suppose if you want to know type of your variable, I mean the data which you are storing into a variable. So for that, we can use type function. Let me show you that. Say as of now, we define a variable called x. Now I want to see the type of that. See that integer. See class integer. If you already have a background of Python 2 version, then in Python 2 it is like a normal variable, but in from Python 3 onwards, each and everything is like an object. Each and everything is an object. That's why it is showing as class. We'll discuss in detail about this concept. But anyway, here x is integer. Suppose if I take, let's say, 5.6, then see, it is a float. Suppose if I take, let's say, x equals to some high, then see, it is a string. So dynamically it will identify that. You don't need to declare that. Then displaying variable. See, you define a variable manually, or because of some operation you got the result, and that result you stored into a variable. But finally I want to see that output, the value of your variable. So simply you will use print function for that. See, in our Python script, let me take here itself. What I do is I will comment these 2 lines also. See, if you are using Visual Studio Code Editor to comment your multiple lines, just select your multiple lines and control slash. And if you want to delete the comments, then again select the lines, then control slash. That's it. See, as of now, though you have some lines, they won't execute by your Python because all are commenting lines. This is actually logic, but still I commented that. That's why it won't execute. Now I define a value x 5. Don't worry, I'm always taking x equals to 5, but you can take any value. Then print x. That's it. Now here you have to understand one important point, that is, I am displaying print x value and then I am defining x equals to 5. Is this a correct approach or not? it's invalid because it's not a correct approach. See, suppose y equals to x square plus something 3x plus some. How to find y value without knowing x? That's why before calculating y value, you must know x value something. It could be any value, right? Same way, see in our Python follows interpreter concept. Nothing but it executes from top to bottom. So while coming from top to bottom, anyway, all lines till 7 are commented lines. That's why they won't execute. 8th line is empty line, no problem. Even if it is empty, there is no logic to execute. Then 9th line we are executing. So while executing 9th line, we are printing x. See, till now, nowhere Python identifies x value. Then how it can print it? That's very important. So that's why during this case, if I execute, see that name x is not defined. So in this print x, whatever you are trying to display, that is not defined. Okay, basically this is a runtime error. So while executing your logic, it is unable to display x value because nowhere x is defined. Yes, it is defined, but when it is defined after 9th line. But as of now, till 9th line, your Python executed from top to bottom. That's why during this time, Python is not able to identify x value. But after 10th line, if you try to print your x value, then you will get it. See, these are some very beginner mistakes, but you should be clear on that. That's it. Suppose if you want to display multiple variables, yes, you can do using print with x comma y. See, suppose x equals to 5, some x equals to 7. Then one way is I can use two separate print functions to display x and y like this, right? And here I can define y equals to 7 anywhere in my script just before 13th line, because before 13th line, if you know y value, then from 13th you can print it. I mean, not only at 11th line, even I can I can define at very first line also. Let me go to starting. Here also I can define my y value. Now see the result. Only thing is, just before this line you must know y value. Even I can also define here y value like this. Let me delete this at very first line. See, as of now, you may feel that they are very simple concepts, but while writing your code, write some lengthy scripts, you may miss the flow. That's why they are very, very important. And we know that print is a function. It takes parameters. So previously we saw how to pass a string as a parameter for print function or multiple strings as parameters for your print function. Now that parameter I am taking as a variable. That variable is a number as of now. Yes, you can take it. Now here you have to understand one more point, that is, suppose let's say for x I am taking double quotation. Now see the result. From 13th line you are getting x only, not a x value. Be clear. If it is a variable, then you should not provide quotations for that wherever you are using. Not only a print function, if you are going to use somewhere in some expression, some calculation, there also you should not take quotations for variable. If you take quotation, then this is not a variable, this is some message or some string, some text. That's it. Now let me comment this 13th line and also 15th line. Even to comment your single line, just go to starting of the line and then control/ will comment the line in Visual Studio Code Editor. Now I am printing x comma y. Yes, we can pass multiple parameters to print function, And in my case, those parameters are variables. Yes, x comma y. See that output is separating with space. That is the default nature of print function. If you pass any number of parameters basically, all parameters result values of those parameters will be separated with space. Let's say what I want to do is I want to display my x and y values in two lines but using one print function. Then use x comma y but separate them with slash n, new line. That's it. Okay, are you clear with this? Then let's say you already define a variable. So whenever if you define a variable with some value, somewhere in memory location the value will be stored. Suppose I have some thousands of lines, and after completing let's say some 100 lines, I don't need my x variable value. Then why should I use unnecessarily the memory? So that's why if you don't need your x variable, let's say after some lines or some logic, if you want to delete it, yes, you can delete it. So for that, simply you have to use del statement and then variable name. See here I am calling it as statement del because it is not having any parenthesis. If you have a parenthesis like type or print, then that is a function. So del is a statement. The only operation with the del is deleting the variable value. See, basically, functions are useful to do multiple operations. Statements are just to execute one single operation. That is the basic idea. Now, suppose after 13th line, I don't need my x variable value before executing or completing my actual remaining logic. So in 13th, 14th line, I can delete the variable x. Now see that as of now you don't see any difference. Sorry, what is the issue? Yeah, okay, here we are deleting but we are trying to display from 8th line the x value. That's why x is not defined because we already deleted, right? So what I do is I will comment this and then I will simply display only y value. That's it. So here actually we have to know how the variable is storing into a memory. Basically that is Python memory management concept. We will discuss it later. I mean not in today's session, we'll discuss it. Then suppose if you want to know the memory location of data, I mean where it is stored, right? So for that simply there is a function called id, identify the memory location of your variable. See, suppose you can do that either from Python terminal or from script also. See, suppose I am doing id of x. So this is the memory location where your data is stored. Suppose same thing if I want to do that from script also. So what I do is, see, suppose I am taking print x comma id of x. Be clear, id of x is one operation that will give some result. That result I want to display with the print. Yes, you can do that in this way. Oh, again let me comment the deletion line. See, this is the data, x variable value data, and this is the memory location for that. Okay, now see, this is some operation finding the memory location of your variable x. So I told that we can store any Python operation result in the variable. So now what I do is I will define one new variable. Let's say, so let me do one thing. I will take one more script. oh sorry, this is selecting the type Python. Simply I am taking x equals to some value, then memory location, I am taking a variable called ml. You can take even multiple characters in your variable, we will see that very soon. Memory location of x equals to id of x. Be clear. Once again I am going with your mathematic expression, that is, let's say something x square plus 3x something. See here, this is a variable. Of course in your mathematics this is independent, this is y is independent. So y we are getting from this calculation. So this calculation result we are storing or we are assigning to y. Same way id of x is one operation like x square plus 3x. That operation result we are storing into a variable like y. But in my case I have taken that as mlx, memory location of x. You can take anything. But there are some rules to take this variable name, we will see them. Now x and mlx are two variables. I can display them using print function. Print x comma mlx. So 5 is the, oh sorry, 8 is your x value. For that this is the memory location. That's it. So as of now I am writing one more print function with some different syntax. Don't worry, but just observe this for today. The value of x is, and its memory location is, this is formatting print function. See that nothing is there. Whenever if you want to club a string, nothing but a message or text with variables, then you have to take f first in your print, inside print, and then inside either single or double quotation or even triple quotation you have to write the message. And wherever you want to display the variable value, for that you have to take curly braces. See, if I remove these curly braces for this x, see the value of x is x. So here I want to x, but here in this place, right, I want x value, whatever it is there. That's why for that, simply to display the variable value inside print format syntax, you have to keep curly braces. It's like a placeholder where you want to display the or place the value of that variable. That's it. So that is about memory, finding the memory location of a variable. Now one simple point you have to remember, that is, variable is also called as an identifier. But all identifiers are not variables. Variable you can call it as an identifier, but basically identifier, it could be a variable or function or class or even some objects in Python. Variable is also called as an identifier. So suppose if I say identifier, then that could be a variable or function or class or even some objects. Just a small point, remember this. You have to by heart this point, right? Anyway, while practicing you will remember that, but at least initially you have to by heart this. Now finally, for today's session, let me give the rules to define variable names. See, there are some rules to define a variable name. See, as of now in our Python script, x is one variable, mlx is some other variable. So while choosing variable names, you have to follow some rules. Those rules are, first one is, your variable name can only have alphanumeric characters and underscore. Alphanumeric means alphabets and also digits, and underscore. Simply either lower or uppercase A to Z and then 0 to 9 numbers and then underscore. Only with this combination only you have to frame your variable names. See, suppose if I say x1, yes, it is a one variable. X1 is a variable. If I say x2 or x2 underscore, this is also one variable. This entire thing is one variable like x only. Or suppose my name, this also one variable like x. So instead of taking a single character, you can also take multiple characters to define a variable, to take a variable name. But for that you have to follow the rules. This is the first rule. Then second one, the name of the variable must always start with either a letter or an underscore. Be clear. See, I told that x1 is a valid variable name, but 1x is not a valid variable name. You have to always start with either alphabets or with underscore. Underscore x is a variable, valid variable, but 1x is not a valid variable. Simply you should not start with a number. That's it. Then the name of the variable should not have spaces. See, suppose if I want to take one variable name as, let's say, my name, here I have taken space. You should not take that space. This is invalid. So whenever if you want to take space kind of thing, you just replace that with underscore. My name, my underscore name. That is a valid, because underscore is one of the valid character to define a variable. And variables are case sensitive. That means lower and uppercase are different. If you say, see, suppose here itself, let me display print capital X. So nowhere we define capital X. That's why you will get an error. See that X is not defined. Be clear, this is capital X. You define only lowercase x. That means lowercase and uppercase are different. They are like A and B. And you can use semicolon to define multiple variables in a single line. See, suppose if I want to define, let's say, two variables in a single line. So first thing, to define two variables, you can take x equals to value in one line and other line y equals to 6. But in one line, if you want to define, you can do in this way. Now let me print x comma y. Yes, it's working. So that means this is valid. You can define multiple variables in a single line just by separating them with the semicolon. And here you no need to provide this space here and here. Immediately after x equals to 8, just to start with colon, and y equals 6 also valid. But it's good to provide some spaces around semicolon whenever if you are defining multiple variables in a single line. And final one is, don't take default keywords as variable names. See, suppose let's say there is a meaning for print function. So don't take like print equals to 5, right? Because print is already there for some specific requirement. So that's why don't take that as a variable name. But I can take my print, suppose if you want to take, or some x print, y print. But how you can know list of keywords to avoid taking that as variables? Simply on your command line, Python terminal, you can execute help keywords. Let me do that. See, you should not take all these things as your variable names. Instead of that, there is one more way, that is keyword dot keyword list. But to execute this, you have to import keyword. So let me do this first on terminal. Import keyword, then print keyword dot keyword list. What happened? Sorry, key. That's it. Now these two lines you can also execute from your Python script. Let me take a final script for today. Import keyword, then print keyword dot keyword list. Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry. Python name is incorrect. That's it. And be clear, always you have to take Python in lowercase. Python software name comes with lowercase letters. You can verify that in the installed location. So inside Python directory, I created Python 313. See here, Python. So this is the Python software Python interpreter that is in terms of lowercase letters. Because of that, you have to take always while executing your scripts Python as lowercase letters only. So that's it, guys, for today's session. If you have any doubts, let me know, and use same link for tomorrow's session also.
Thank you, Narendra. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.